So hello everyone on Patreon. There's the extended kind of track performance version jamming on this patch exclusively for you guys, and also the public video. But first, let's just have a quick listen because I'm really enjoying this patch. Okay, so first, the hub of the patch, Tuesday from This Is Not Rocket Science, is providing my sequencing and my rhythmic information. We'll start with the drums, taking the tick output, which is set to 4 ticks per beat. Ticks is a rather unique term, but 4 clicks per beat, 4 notes per beat, 16th notes against a 4/4 main clock. That's coming out into this Hoser hopscotch, being split into the Pico random, which we'll come to shortly, and also out into the Cylon Labs Chaos Divider. The Chaos Divider is giving me a divide 4 for my kick, which is Mutable Instruments Peaks. Tuesday's own gate output is triggering the hi-hats, which is also from Mutable Instruments Peaks. And I've decoupled the rhythm and the pitch that's created from Tuesday. So the pitch is going to Plaits, but the gate is my hi-hat pattern. I've come up with random rhythms elsewhere for Plaits. We'll come to that. The Chaos Divider is also giving a ×3 output, which is this rimshot, 808 rimshot sample on the Erica Synth's Pico drums. And then the divide by 8 is giving me the clap. The nice thing on the Pico drums, every now and then a divide 4, or rather a divide 8 and a divide 3 does line up, but I can tell them to only play exclusively. So you can hear that rimshot pattern cuts in and out a bit more. Nice little feature that you just usually see with a closed and open hi-hat on a drum machine, where you can only have one at once. A closed hi-hat would close the ringing open hi-hat. You can do that between samples on the Pico drums, which is pretty cool. So here's the drums. Could get some of that nice PT delay. Panned off to the left, which is the Synfratech DLY. Let's get the feedback up on that. Bit fiddly to get it in time, but it's an analog delay, or part analog, part digital chip, those PT chips. It's also debatable whether BBD, Bucket Brigade delay chips, are actually analog, but we won't get into that here. So that's my drums. Here's my main output from Plaits in mono. This is all in the hex mix from Bafako. If you haven't noticed, the hexpander is handling the auxiliaries. That glorious reverb, again, is the AGH Synth Finalizer REQ. But let's just kill it for now. And a little trick I've done that I recommend anyone explores with any synth voice in any style is to either take a split of your main output or a secondary output and do something different with it. So my main output is just straight into channel 1 on the hex mix, mono, playing through, no EQ. The auxiliary output, which is playing the same pattern, comes out into its own VCA, the hex mix VCA, and I'm using a random gate from the Pico random, which is clocked from Tuesday, to open up a Happy Nerding ADSR. Could be any envelope, but it's just creating accents. This auxiliary output already sounds different. If this was just a single output I was splitting, I'd maybe look to filter the split differently. Maybe if I've used the low pass for the main output, use some sort of band pass into a distortion or into some sort of effect to create a difference in tone. So I've got a tonal difference into a VCA being triggered differently. That's coming in to the hex mix and being panned hard right. Here that is against the main out. So it creates some stereo spread. but it's a little bit of an uneven stereo spread because the AUX out that's been processed differently is hard panned right. So I've used the send out to the delay and brought it back into a channel rather than a return, so I could hard pan that left. So here's adding that in. So mono main channel, hard right auxiliary processed differently through a VCA of a random gate and envelope, and the delay to the left hand side to create some stereo image. Add that delay back in, sorry, reverb. Get a pair of headphones on because that reverb just sounds wicked in the background. Bring the drums back in. Playing around with the length of the kick on peaks. Maybe some delay on the drums. The modulation of Plaits is the velocity output from Tuesday, which is kind of like stepped random, but it's looping over this 4-bar sequence from Tuesday. I have sample and hold over Timbre, which is one of the 2 Pico randoms from Erica Sims. My trigger is coming from the Pico random, the random gates output, and I'm actually clocking both of these, but I have them running one 4 times faster than the other to create little offsets between the sample and hold I'm using and the random gate. Bot per octave is Tuesday. I've got sample and hold from the other Pico random into the abstract data ADE 50, and that's what's doing the model modulation between the different modes. The reason I put it through the VCA was so that I could use offset from the Happy Nerding 3 times MIA to control how depth, or the depth of and how open that VCA is. Could have just used an attenuator from anywhere else. Hope you liked the video. Thanks for your support. It's amazing. Things are still growing here. Tell your friends, kids, children, pets. Get them on Patreon. Thanks for tuning in.